What we're going to do here is we're installing a kit, a blind kit from 8-point hunting blinds, and we're going to install it here in the grass. We're going to put the stand up and everything in place. So let's get started. Oops, sorry. So now we have the floor upside down. We're ready to install the legs on the four sides. First of all, you'll need the base assembly instructions. Keep that handy, and after we have the legs in, we'll show you how to do the bracing. So now we're going to start with the 4x4 legs. On every 4x4 you will have a pencil mark on the 4x4. That end you do want to turn up when you install the 4x4s. And they will go into this receivable end here. Just make sure it's down against. And then you can run some screws into either side. Go ahead, Brandon. Yeah. So now we have all four of the legs in place, and with the marks, the X's, that will show where to do the perimeter bracing. We'll get started on that, the perimeter bracing all the way around the bottom. So now that we have the perimeter all done, they're all in place, we'll start with the X bracing from one 4x4 across to the other.
Did I forget my number sheet? You had brought it down.
Where did you put that?
I put it here somewhere.
So now what we're doing is we're tying in the X brace in the bottom. You have to square, you'll need to square from one corner down to the other corner both ways to make sure that the stand is square. So with him holding the end there, pushing this in place, we'll make this 112, which is what we need as far as square. It gotta come this way a little, Dave. Right there. You want to do the other way right away? Or?
Might as well.
So after you have the outside brace installed, you will need to install the one on the inside. Those are basically going backwards on the back side of the 4x4. They're exactly the same. All front sides and back sides are cut the same. There would just be flip-flop. Alright, so now that we have all the X bracing on, we're ready to flip the stand upright and start with the walls. So we'll get started here. So we have the stand, the floor and the stand upright, and next we're ready for the stair cutouts, which is these two here. And those go on the outside. Once you have the treads in place, we screw it down with 2 screws on either side. So your blind will come with the carpet already installed, and after you have everything, the stairs and the carpet, everything's up here, you're ready to start on the walls. We're ready to start on the walls. As you can see on the floors, every corner has a number on, along with the walls have numbers as well on the sides. And you'll want to start with number 1 and go in order up until number 8. First you'll want to install 7 walls and leave the 8th wall out until you have the roof in place, which we will show you. I'll go up. I'll hand them to you. You might want to. Are you on now? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't want to caulk them, did we?
I think we have that option on.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we have 7 of the walls, excluding the 8th wall, which is a door wall, installed, we have the 7 installed. You'll want to leave the 8th wall out until you have the roof up top, sitting on top of the frame. The best way is one guy on the ladder and one guy on the bottom. Just help each other push it up. Okay. After you have it up here, you want to keep it back until you have the front wall installed. And then once the front wall is installed, you can drop it down in. Okay.
Do you need help with that?
Okay, so now we're ready for the front door. We'll just put it in place, keep the one man inside. And you're good on the same side on the bottom. And so after you have the front wall in, you just want to go around and make sure that all the walls, the screws are running to it all the way in, and then you're ready to start on the roof, putting the roof in. Now that the roof is in place, you just run all these screws up in to pull the roof down in the proper position. Alright, so now we're ready to start on the railing, the handrail. The upright posts have a mark on them. This mark will be to the top of the tread on the bottom step and the top step, and you will keep it on the outside of the cutout. You will keep it flush on the outside of the cutout. So after those are installed, then grab one of these handrails, and they go right alongside the top. The top will go up against the line, and just keep it flush with the top of the cutout on your uprights. So now that we're finished with the wooden stand, we're going to install the metal stand on the 8-point blind. So if you're buying the 8-point blind in a kit form, you will install the exact same way as you did that one. You'll put the floor upside down and install the legs. This one we have on a lift, and we're going to install it that way, but it'll be just upside down if you'll be installing with the floor upside down on the floor.
Now, if somebody wants to put the wooden legs on, that's best for flat ground, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the metal legs, what are the advantages here?
So the metal legs actually extend, they'll extend up to 11 foot.
Okay.
So if you're on an uneven surface, you can be on a hill, you can have these legs up here at 8 foot, you can extend the back legs up to 11 foot. Or if you want your stand higher, you can have the stand at 11 foot, have all your legs fully extended.
Okay, excellent. So if somebody wants to do the metal legs from start, they would do it the exact same way that we did the wooden legs with the floor upside down before turning it over to put the whole thing together.
Correct.
All right, very good.
All right, ready to get started? Okay, so now we're ready to start with the bracing around the perimeter and also putting the bolts in the legs. We have 3 different size bolts. We have the 2 3/4, which are for the landing, and then we have these which are going into the perimeter, and these are for the legs. When you extend them out, there's obviously 2 holes in each leg that you will put these through along with a nut.
Okay, which one are we doing first?
So we're doing these on the legs first.
Okay. So that goes all the way up to 11 foot, and then the other advantage, of course, is where the wooden one is really more for flat ground.
Yes.
This one
you can set up that the front, like the door side, would be at 8 foot, and the back side has a drop of like 11 foot. You just extend the back legs out further.
Very good. And what are we going to be doing now?
So now we're going to install the 2 legs that go by the stairway. These 2 legs are different than the back side because they have these little holes on either side. They have this bracket, which that is actually where the platform goes into. This here will slide right into there after we have the leg up. So just make sure that you have these 2 legs in the proper position when you're installing by the front door.
And again, if somebody's doing this without a lift, all they have to do is just take a look at what we did with the wooden one and put the legs on before they turn the whole thing over.
Correct, yeah. They just need to flip the floor upside down and place the legs in the proper position and do all the bracing and obviously flip the stand upright.
Very good. So now we're putting the platform in, and this is the door side of the hunting blind, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now it depends on if it's a 5 foot or 6 foot as to where this goes. Is that correct?
Correct. So a 6 foot hunting blind, you will keep the legs flush with the block here. You'll keep that side flush. On a 5 foot, you'll stay all the way out before fastening. So a 6 foot is in at that position, and a 5 foot will keep out all the way out to the skirt of the blind.
And this is a 5 foot, so that's where you're going to keep it.
Correct.
Okay.
So now we're just going to place the landing. This end slides in. That'll receive that. And while I hold this, we'll bring the other leg up. And this actually goes right into there. And you can actually just hold this while your helper puts the nut on. So David's going to put the nut on that end and just keep it loose at this point. Just hand tighten it. Just get it started and then that's good. And then we'll slide that into position.
And which bolt is that now? Is that the 2 and a?
This is a 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah. So all the legs get 2.5s. So now we're installing the back legs. These are just exactly the same as the front, except we don't have the brackets. These are just, they don't have the flange on the side.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to start with the perimeter bracing. You're going to want to grab one of these angles with the short bolts.
Okay.
And they will go on the inside. Go ahead.
And they just put all 4 around then?
Correct. So now we're ready for these cable bracing. So these will, on a wooden stand, you have the 2x4 bracing for the X's. This will actually be cables. It's very simple. You just hook the top. You hook it on there. Bring this end down. And after you have them all installed, it's like a turnbuckle. You just turn it until it's tight. So these are the rails for on the side. Do you want to hop up on the platform, David? And they'll go in that position, and you'll want the short bolts